Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Longbox Chronicles Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at another film based on a Marvel Comics property. This one is also based on a Marvel Comics character I sort of enjoy. The movie came out in 2008. The movie is Punisher Warzone. Now, before anyone asks, no, I've never seen the Punisher film that came before this one. The only other Punisher film I saw is the one from the 80s starring Dolph Lundgren, and it's another one of those films that proves that Dolph Lundgren should never be asked to act because the man is incapable of doing so. So I have no idea what the hell I'm getting into on this one, and also it really doesn't matter if I've seen the previous Punisher film or not, because this one's kind of a reboot similar to Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. But where Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance was almost like a soft reboot, where it was trying to start over but still borrow elements from the previous film, this thing apparently is a full-on reboot, basically just pretending that the previous film never happened. So that's probably good for me. Now there is a little bit of trivia here I have to give about Punisher Warzone, and that is, out of all of the Marvel films that have come out in the last few years, Warzone here was the first one to not be released under the Marvel Films or Marvel Studios name. Instead, it was put underneath the name Marvel Knights. There's only been one other film released under the Marvel Knights name, and that's Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which, for those of you who've been watching all of my reviews this month, I loved Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. So I kind of have hopes that Punisher Warzone is going to be in the same kind of style, where it's going to be a very fun, very campy, very action-oriented popcorn flick. I really have hopes on this. And since it is the Punisher, that's really the only thing you can fucking do without completely screwing over what the Punisher is. So the only way to find out, though, if this thing is any good is for me to fucking shut up and watch it. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Punisher Warzone. Okay, guys, I totally thought this film was going to be violent, but holy shit, this is fucking brutal, dude. It's like, my god, guys, I am actually a little bit stunned by just how graphic this film is, and it's just fucking started. This is awesome. Wait a second here. So, the NYPD has a Punisher task force, but they've never caught the Punisher once in 4 years. That tells me that this Punisher task force really fucking sucks. Just kind of thought I'd share that. Okay, I believe that it's a pretty safe, bet to never fuck with somebody whose nickname is Looney Bin Jim. Just saying. Yeah, totally. You don't want to fuck with someone whose nickname is fucking Looney Bin Jim. Learn something new every fucking day, guys. Wow, well, there's one way of taking care of a fucking member of a, meth addict parkour gang. And that's also kind of effective. Wow. I'm telling you guys, though, that first fucking kill, that was probably one of the greatest goddamn things I've ever seen. It also shows that, well, Punisher's got fantastic aim with a fucking rocket launcher, man. That was awesome. Okay, I'm telling you guys, the Punisher is probably one of the most badass people I've ever seen in any fucking film. Every single time he goes to kill, somebody, it just gets more and more amazing. I'm absolutely adoring this so far, man. Hell yeah. Alright, guys. I'm gonna say right now, Jigsaw's speech here would not have the same impact if he wasn't in the goofy military uniform, and if he didn't have a video of the flag behind him. It really kind of helps add a nice, cheesy, campy flair to this speech. And frankly, to me, that is just fucking amazing. Okay, I actually kind of enjoyed that. All right, so far out of all of the creative, colorful, and awesome deaths in this film, the best one is the Punisher blowing up a guy's head while he's sitting on the fucking toilet. That was beyond amazing. Holy shit. Well, guys, that was Punisher Warzone. Holy shit. Okay. Let's dive right into this, shall we? I would like to say that I am pleasantly surprised here. Because, see, guys, I had no idea if this thing was going to be any good. Because, well, as I stated earlier, my only previous exposure to the Punisher in terms of films was the one starring Dolph Lundgren, and that movie was a piece of shit. This thing, on the other hand, and I know, I always say I don't want to harp on how loyal it is to the fucking source and all this other shit, but god damn it, this one actually nailed it. I mean, then again, that's partially because the Punisher has only been around for what, like 25 years or so? And his character hasn't changed too much in those 25 years. You basically just have to nail down the correct formula and you're set. Mission accomplished. We have the Punisher grappling with all of his personal issues involving his family and a couple of his own personal choices. We have him basically fighting that while basically letting all of his rage out by beating 7 fucking shades of shit out of anything which has gang connections and a pulse. That really is the entire comic book. That right there is the summation of the comic. That's also the fucking summation here. It is basically about the Punisher wailing on, killing, blowing up, and mutilating anything which has any kind of mob, connection. And it's awesome, alright? If you guys are looking for a fantastic, action film, this thing's it. This is probably one of the ballsier action films I've seen, but I'm going to get into that a little later. I want to touch on the acting. Excuse me. I don't think that there was a single poorly cast role in this entire film. Everybody was perfect. The actor who they got to play fucking, Jigsaw was great, and I want to say right now, I don't care what the hell anyone says about the other Punisher movie. I don't think anyone's ever going to top Ray fucking Stevenson as the Punisher. Why? Well, number one, he looks like the Punisher, okay? I do not want to hear about Thomas Jane's acting. The fact of the matter is, Thomas Jane didn't look like the fucking Punisher. However, if I were to go through my comic book collection and grab all of my old Punisher comics from around 1991, 1992, I'm staring at drawings of what fucking Ray Stevenson looked like in 2008. And I'm talking everything. Hair, face, facial hair. And then to top it off, he turns in a fucking spectacular showing. That, folks, is nothing short of amazing, because it's almost impossible to go and make a comic book movie and find someone who literally looks exactly like the character. They usually have to, make a couple of fucking sacrifices, or they have to cover them in tons and tons of makeup. This guy is the Punisher, okay? He literally looks like the Punisher in every conceivable way, and he can fucking act. That is awesome. It really does feel like I'm watching a live-action version of a really gory, graphic Punisher comic book, instead of watching just some half-assed Hollywood attempt at doing what the Punisher should be. In fact, guys, I'm going to say this right now, second only to Sin City and Watchmen, this is one of the most loyal comic book films I've ever fucking seen. And I never thought I'd be saying that about The Punisher, because I always sort of feared that The Punisher just wound up being a bullshit action film. Which, granted, you can do that. Now, I wanted to cover the acting first, because writing I'm going to cover, but you see, guys, normally I have something to bitch about in terms of the acting. It could be one person hamming it up too much, or one person just, turning in a totally wooden showing. No. Every character here is awesome, okay? The Punisher, Microchip, Looney Bin Jim, Jigsaw, every one of these characters are played perfectly. Nobody is turning in an overly cheesy showing. Nobody is turning in an overly wooden showing. Everybody has hit that perfect spot to know how to act in a fucking action film and actually make you feel a little bit for it. Especially when the film gets into its heavier moments. It is at those points that you can tell that the acting here is absolutely solid. Because you will begin to feel for these characters, and that's something, again, which you don't normally expect from a bullshit action film. But hey, this thing's kind of sort of an exceptional bullshit action film. I'm just going to say that right now. Now, I do want to go into the writing. You see, because, well, apparently the people who wrote this really did a lot of research in terms of exactly what makes the Punisher the Punisher. Because, again, I'm basing this all on the 90s film, or the late 80s, early 90s Punisher film, where they just barely touched on Frank Castle's backstory, where his family is brutally murdered by the fucking mob. This, they mention it in maybe 2 scenes, and then it's just kind of hinted at throughout the entire film. Nobody ever comes out and beats you over the fucking head with it, but it is still there, and you can still kind of feel it. And once more, that also comes with the acting, because Ray, Stevenson, the way that he plays the Punisher, you can almost feel that throughout every single action, the Punisher is still haunted by the fact that he couldn't save his family, and it's that kind of emotional commitment you need in order to make a good Punisher movie. Because the Punisher is far more than just violence. There actually is a little bit of a story in there. There actually is a whole lot of very hidden depth which you have to just see, and most of that has to come from the acting. Now, also in terms of writing, I do want to touch on the humor. This film has some very dry, very funny humor, on top of a ton of gore being played up for humor. Everything from the Punisher killing fucking somebody in midair with a well-placed rocket, to the Punisher blowing up somebody's head while they're sitting on the fucking toilet. This thing uses violence for comedy, and it works. Now, there really is nothing here negatively I can talk about in terms of writing, because really if they were just shooting for a fucking action film, they totally nailed it. And if they were looking to make a very, very strong, Punisher film, they also accomplished that. So the writing here is just fantastic. Gore effects. I do want to say, Punisher Warzone was released by Lionsgate. Lionsgate is known for making the Saw films. This movie has almost as much gore as a Saw movie. So if there's anyone out there who really, really likes their gore, and you've always wanted to see a gory action film, Punisher Warzone is the way to go. You cannot go wrong here. And if gore, or the sound of bones, like bones breaking, or people's fucking faces, blowing up because of point blank gunshots, or rather shotgun shots, then if any of that is bound to turn your stomach, you're not going to want to watch this. This film revels in its fucking gore. This basically is the action film for gorehounds. Okay, you are gonna absolutely love it if you are into gore, which is funny because most action films do not play with gore as much as this thing does. Camera work is very, very good. Lighting is very good. I really would like to say, in terms of camera work and lighting, this whole thing almost feels like a living, breathing comic book. And that's something which you don't often see in these sorts of films. Because oftentimes, the filmmaker's trying to go for their own personal look, and you don't normally see... You normally don't see a film which has the feeling of living, breathing comic book outside of stuff like 300, Sin City, and The Spirit. I mean, all those felt like a comic book come to life. So does this. However, it doesn't feel as much like a living comic book as those other three. This basically is almost like that like perfect mix of a comic book come to life and a typical Hollywood film. It is that perfect mixture. And god damn it, it looks stunning. Guys, the one thing I'm almost saddened by is just how poorly this thing has done in the box office as well as in DVD and Blu-ray sales. I mean, Jesus Christ, I fucking downloaded this thing. I just finished watching it. I guarantee you, the next time I see a copy of it on Blu-ray at fucking Walmart, I'm going to buy it. Why? It was that good. Guys, yes, I can highly recommend Punisher Warzone, unless you're not a fan of action films, or if you're not a big fan of gore. However, if those two things are not going to be like deal breakers for you, you are going to love this film. You are going to absolutely adore every frame of it. This movie is probably one of the best action films I have ever seen. And I am one of those people who has a slight bias against action films because most of them suck. Most of them are totally plotless bullshit. This thing actually is able to give us tons of action, tons of gore, tons of humor, tons of character depth. All of it in an almost perfect, perfect mixture of all of this to form a fantastic movie. And if you guys have not seen this, you really have to. I believe that based solely off of Punisher Warzone and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, if I see any more films that are put out under Marvel's Marvel Knights banner, I am going to look at those with sheer glee. Because it seems that almost everything which comes out under that label is fucking awesome. So yeah, guys, please, go out and watch this. I do not care if you have to find it on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix. I never checked. I don't care if you have to download it or BitTorrent it. I don't care if you have to rent it, buy it, steal it. I don't care. You guys have got to check out this film. It is that fucking awesome. So yeah, guys, I guess that the short version is I loved this fucking movie. Oh, yeah, just holy shit. Alright, guys, so with that we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.